Hi, welcome to Heal Body, Mind and Spirit. My name is Dermot Farrell, and in this video we're going to talk about the topic look after your health and it will look after you. There's a presumption in today's society that we can drive our body into the grounds and achieve whatever we want to achieve. Well, I got news for you. You have to look after your health. But if you look after your health, you will be able to achieve the things which you want to achieve. Okay, so what is this situation of look after your health, it will look after you? Okay, it sounds like maybe a vague kind of topic, but actually it's a really important one, and that's why I'm making a video about it. Basically, we want to achieve things in our life, which is fine. And in our modern society, it's based about a complexity. Karl Marx, the famous inventor of communism, well, not really communism, socialism, and then communism is one of the interpretations of Karl Marx. But one of the concepts which Karl Marx came up with, I'm not talking about socialism here, I'm just talking about a concept which will help you in your life, is the means of production. Basically, if you want more wealth, you need more means of production. The reason why people are paid more now than they were in 1960, for example, is that they are producing more. The fact that you have a nicer lifestyle means that you're doing more work than your father, and probably a lot more work than your grandfather. In a different way. Maybe your grandfather was a farmer on the field and he did a lot of physical work. But I'm saying from the point of view of work that produces something. Okay? So for example, if you're in a job and you're getting paid $30,000 a year, chances are that you're making at least $300,000 a year for that company. If you're in a job and you're getting paid $50,000 a year, chances are that you're making at least $50,000, $500,000 a year for that company. Now, it will vary from industry to industry. In some industries you make $50,000, they make $150,000. In another industry you make $50,000, they make $5 million. Because it depends upon their overheads and all sorts of complexities. But as a rule of thumb, the more you get paid, the more they're charging. If you were getting paid $20,000 10 years ago and you're getting paid $30,000 today, more than likely you are actually producing more income for that company. So what does this got to do with looking after health? What it's got to do with looking after health is society in general is getting wealthier, but it's only getting wealthier because it's producing more, which means you have to do more. That's why I hear for so many people, and I read it on blog posts, I get it from anecdotally from just talking to people. Most people say today, I was a lot less busy 10 years ago. I was even far less busy 15 or 20 years ago. And the reason why is that, and why you're getting squeezed more in your job, is that if you go looking for a pay rise, you have to produce more. Otherwise, how can they pay you more? They're not being selfish, it's just a thing that has to be done. So, our society is becoming more complex. Our society is becoming wealthier, which is great. But also what this means is we have to produce more, we have to be busier. And our lives are becoming more complex. Back in 1989 when I started my first job, I used to get a little brown envelope every week, and that was the cash I had to live on for next week. My life was simple. And not just me, everybody was like that. We used to live from week to week. Now we're paid from month to month, and we have so many different things to invest our time and our energy, including education, because years ago you could go out of school and get a good job, and having, say, a BA was a big deal. Nowadays you can have all sorts of BScs, computer degrees, MBAs, MScs. People are kind of into lifelong learning. Whatever job you're doing today, you have to keep upskilling. So you have to work so hard today to achieve so many things. And our mindset has changed. Our mindset has changed to a setting of thinking in terms of, I want to buy a house, I want to buy a car. I also need a pension plan. I need to invest for my kids' education, because education is so expensive these days. You have to have a small fortune saved up if you want to educate your kids. So people are planning for the future a lot more now. Back when I was a kid just starting work, or when I look back on my father's life when he was working, nobody had to plan for the future. In some ways what we got today is great. You get people are now to jet around to different parts of the world and have amazing experiences, but there's a lot more commitment and there's a lot more things you have to focus on. Where years ago it was leave school, get a job, try and progress in that job. Nowadays it's more complex. If you stay into one job, usually you're going to get stuck. People now almost have to hop from job to job because that's the way it is. Companies respect somebody who's got experience in different roles. That's the way it is. So basically we have to be more dynamic, and in order to do that we have to put things off. We have to put off pleasure, today's pleasure, for something more complex, and that's what we have to do in a complex society. But sadly, one of the things which we're putting off is our health. You see, we can put off things like, I'm working a second job, my wife's working, she's working a second job, and we can put off a lot of things, we can sacrifice a lot of things because we're thinking, another 10 years I'll have the mortgage paid off because we're working so hard. Another 15 years I'll have this thing, savings for the kids, or another property I'm going to invest in. Wonderful. But what about your health? Your health is your wealth. And the funny thing with your health is, if you don't look after it, you might not be able to get out of bed in the morning to do these other things. And part of this is looking after yourself means things like going to the gym and eating correctly, which is very important. A lot of people are not doing that. If you're not doing that, get your ass down to the gym or down to the squash court or go for a walk every day and start eating healthy and living healthier. It's very important. But also, my experience as a traditional Chinese medical practitioner, or acupuncturist as you might have known it, I've met lots of people who are doing all the right things. This is where it gets a little bit subtle, and we really have to focus on this. It's not just about going to the gym or eating healthy. It's also about the demands we put on ourselves because we have a limited supply of energy. There's a concept in traditional Chinese medicine of energy whereby we think in terms of limited time scale and finite resources. Limited time scale is that you're not immortal. You're not going to live forever. Maybe you'll live to 60, maybe you'll live to 120. Personally, I've no knowledge of anybody living past 120. I've heard a few stories, but nobody's brought a birth cert to show that they live beyond that. People tend to start dying off around the 70 mark. Very few people get past the 100 mark. And very, very few people get past the 100 mark in good health. So we have a limited time scale to achieve what we want to achieve. For most of us, we're going to do most of our achieving probably somewhere between 30 and 60. Because usually when we're 20s, we're getting educated and starting on a job. By 60 odd, we're usually getting tired and maybe getting some ill health as well, or just had enough of it. So usually it's been between 30 to 60. You have to be productive if you want to build a life that you want to lead. So that's your limited time scale. What's your finite resources? And this is the really important concept here. We tend to think I can push my body, but in Chinese medicine you have a limited supply of energy. We have two energies. One is called Yang, which is nurturing, and the other is called Yang, which is your active energy. And you have so much. And what you're supposed to do is, these energies are supposed to just slowly drop off, and eventually then, when you hit the end of your life, and the end of your life is largely based upon your genetics. Somebody genetically meant to live to 70, somebody else is genetically meant to live to be 100. But you're supposed to live there in pretty good health, and the ideal, perfect ending from a point of view of energy is one day a little bit tired, you're an old guy in good health or old lady, and you've had your Sunday lunch or whatever it is, and you say to your family, "You're going to sit here in my chair and have a little rest." You close your eyes, you snooze, and next thing grandma or granddad doesn't wake up again. And we say, "It's beautiful, he died," or "she died in her sleep." And that's fantastic. Now we can't guarantee that, but it is an ideal thing to live to an advanced old age in good health and have a good life and die gently. It's a wonderful thing. That is an example. If you see that, if you know anybody that's happened that way in their life, that's probably what they've had, good innings. But think of life as an inheritance. Imagine that you had a rich uncle, and at 18 years of age, he says, "Here's $10 million. But this is it for life. You're going to live to say 70. You got $10 million. If you spend $9,999,999 by the time you're 21, but you're still going to live to 70, you got $1 more to live on. That's not so good. Let's make it a little easier example. Let's say you spend $5 million by the time you're 21. Now you've only got $5 million to live to the time you're 70. By the time you're 40, maybe you got $2 million. By the time you're 60, maybe you only got a few $1,000s left, maybe $50,000. Suddenly life is not looking good. And this is what happens to a lot of people. Nature gives us an abundance, an inheritance. So at 18, we're pretty healthy. And if we look after ourselves, the energy will just go down slowly. But what happens to a lot of people is they drive their body, and I found this so many times clinically in practice. So many people drive themselves so hard that they like go off a cliff. Now some people go off a cliff at 40, some people go off a cliff at 30. Many people go off a cliff at 50 or 60. They suddenly, boom, and they have a lot of health problems. And I'm telling you quite firmly, if your health collapses, it's going to be hard fulfilling those dreams. Okay? So it's very important that we look after the subtle energy. And looking after the subtle energy is different than going, you could go into the gym and doing all sorts of things. But we're talking about this nurturing energy. So how do we look after the subtle energy? The number one thing is pacing. Okay? I'll give you an example. I come from Ireland, it's a beautiful country. And one time, some years ago, I was doing some hill walking with some friends, or walking down some hills. And I come towards the end of the day, I was pretty tired, because I'm not used to it. I'm a couch potato, basically. But I was looking at, it's a beautiful sight, by the way, and if you haven't been to Ireland, do go, it's a wonderful country. We saw some sheep farmers, some shepherds. And obviously the sheep were all over the mountain. And it was now like 5 o'clock and they're calling the sheep in. So they're doing all that whistling, and the dog is gathering around. It's very beautiful and scenic. I saw the sheep coming down and the shepherds. But I was thinking, those shepherds, they do this every day. I was bushed. These guys walk up and down the hills every day. But how come they're not bushed? And they're not bushed because they're pacing themselves. It's not that they're not doing a lot of activity. They are doing a lot of activity. But they don't do too much. They don't run around like a headless chicken. The other thing as well with that kind of work is usually their mind is very fresh, because what are they concentrating on? They're concentrating on the mountains, the sheep, and the dog. And there's a kind of a purity about that. It's something I've noticed myself whenever I've done gardening. Not that I like gardening, but I've done it. Whenever I've done things like fixing my car or my bike or any kind of DIY work, again, I'm not big into DIY. I'm not big into fixing cars or bikes, but I have noticed when I've done it that afterwards I feel kind of fresh. My body is tired, but my mind is fresh. And this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about mind power. Your body, you can work your body tremendously hard, but first of all, you have to look after your mind. You have to keep your mind peaceful. And the second thing that you have to do is you have to obviously don't push your body so hard, okay? So things like sleep. Some people need 6 hours sleep a night. Some people need 10 hours sleep a night. You have to find out what you need. One thing that I found very useful was going to sleep earlier. I used to go to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning. I found that if I go to bed before 12, I feel a lot fresher. If I go to bed before 10:30, I feel an awful lot fresher. And if I go to bed at 9 o'clock, I feel mega fresh, really fresh. Now, we have different lifestyles and always possible. That's one example of looking after yourself. Another thing is simply taking time out to relax. Here's something I used to do back when I used to work in the corporate jungle. I used to have a break, and sometimes I used to go and have a 15-minute break on my own, and I'd be sitting there having a cup of coffee in the canteen. It's kind of bored, just staring out the window. So I used to bring in books. I used to bring in pulp fiction books, light, entertaining stories. And you know something? I used to go back to my desk refreshed. I think that's amazing. I just read a book for 10 minutes, and a cup of coffee, I feel great. The reason why is that it's a reset for your brain. It's very important to reset your brain, to give your brain a little break. We're talking more software than hardware here, the software of our mind, because we're so focused on one thing all the time. We're so focused on our work, and it's like we're pulling our hair out of our head. So doing something, like I know one computer programmer, he likes to play chess. I'm not into chess, he's into chess. It doesn't matter what it is. You might like reading a newspaper, you might like reading a book. Do something to give your brain a little reconnect. It's like switching off the computer, switching it back on. Sometimes you leave your computer on for a long time, it runs slow. And if you check the Taskmaster, you see it's like 80%, 90% CPU. Switch everything off, switch it back on again. Or just switch off some of the programs, switch it back on. It's like that. Disconnect, reconnect. Okay, so that's one thing, is just looking after your mind. Give your mind a mental break. So have hobbies, interests, different things to relax yourself. I like watching action movies. Okay, I find them relaxing. That's another example. So many of us are driving ourselves too hard because we're so busy trying to achieve these goals. And I'll put off to tomorrow, I'm going to achieve this goal, that we start driving our minds too much. So that's number one. But also we tend to drive our bodies too hard as well. You know, you have to give your body, exercise, and you also have to give your body rest. You can achieve amazing things, but sometimes you need to pace yourself in order to achieve those things. Okay? So we have to look after health. And looking after health means having hobbies, having interests, having time off. Try and have a day off every week. If you get 2 days, it's great, but try and have a day off. And when you have that day off, don't necessarily think that you have to, okay, I'm going to have my late breakfast on Sunday, and then I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'm going to go out to this, I'm going to go out to watch the local tennis club, and then I'm going to go back and I have to watch something else, and then I have to go and meet my friend, and I have to go and blah, 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 blah. I'm talking take some time to rest yourself a little bit, or at least do something which diverts you or gives you some kind of interest in a different direction, and pace your activities, okay? So if you're on this thing whereby I got the willpower, I can do it, I could work 20 hours a day, I can work 2 jobs, I don't need to eat something, I don't need to drink something. Well, think again, because that energy is a limited resource. You got finite time and limited resources to achieve what you got to achieve. It is possible to bring up both the yin and yang energy. The yin energy is brought up by hope, by nice experiences, like hugging the kids, hugging your girlfriend or your boyfriend, having nice nurturing experiences with people. That will bring up the yin energy. The yang energy is things like pacing yourself, not doing too much at once, respecting your body. If you feel tired, take a rest. Maybe you need a rest. Okay? Don't push your body all the time. Yang energy is things like not thinking too much. Keep taking little breaks away from thinking all the time to give your mind a little bit of rest. Also, eat healthy and do activities. The body likes activity, healthy activity. So it's a really important thing. And this is the final little thought on this, is that we want to achieve something. And to do that, we put off satisfying so many things in our life. But in the process of doing that, we pull away from our health. And your health is your wealth. So what you got to do is pace yourself. Maybe you want to achieve so much in the next 6 months. Well, maybe it's going to take you 6 years to achieve that, and you're just driving too hard. And what's the point if you suck so much energy out and start having all sorts of health problems? So if you want to achieve your goals, you have to have health. And if you want to have health, yes, you must go to the gym and eat healthy, but also you have to pace yourself and boost the energy to some degree, because you only boost it to a certain degree. If you could 100% recoup your inner energy, you would never die. Man, I've yet to meet anybody who didn't die. Everybody dies. So you got to go and take that time out to look after yourself, because otherwise you're robbing yourself of the opportunity. And this is what we get back to on this theme. Look after your health and it will look after you. You'll be able to achieve the things you want to achieve. Maybe it'll take a year rather than 6 months. Maybe it'll take 2 years rather than 1 year. Maybe it'll take 5 years rather than 3 years. It doesn't matter. If you look after your health, you're in the health to live that time and live in the good health to appreciate what you want to achieve. I've seen so many people in clinical practice driving themselves into ill health. You wouldn't do it to your car, so why are you doing it to yourself? So just take some time out, look after your health, and look after your subtle energy. Not just going to the gym, but it's important to go to the gym, but also having some recreation, resting when you need to rest, having a good diet, pacing yourself. Don't try and do a million things at once. You are not a machine, okay? You are a human being and you have to look after yourself. So just remember, look after yourself, look after your health, and we'll look after you. Thanks for coming by. If you like the video, and do give a subscribe. I appreciate that. And have a great day.